Hi, Dorothea Hendricks here, your trainer in communication and presentation skills. In one of our previous videos, I talked about the qualities of highly effective speakers, speakers that engage the audience. And today, what I'd like to do is to share with you the names of 3 speakers I feel who truly engage the audience or have those qualities, and they have something more. They have that special something that only great speakers have, that special something. I think Maya Angelou sums it up the best when she says, I've learned that people might forget what you've said, they might forget what you've did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Now, as a speaker, you're giving information, you're talking about a particular topic, and that's important. And of course, the ideas that you're sharing, that's all important. But what has the lasting impact on the hearts and minds of your audience is how you made them feel. Doesn't matter whether you're talking about a budget breakdown, a quarterly results, a stock market, or the newest car on the market, or what's happening in baby clothes. I don't know. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. The end result is, how did you make those people feel as you were speaking and when you were finished with what you're saying? As a speaker, when you're tapping into the feelings of your audience, you're tapping into something that's basic, something that's core. Their values, the beliefs that they hold dear, the values that they hold true for themselves and see themselves for themselves. Now, as a speaker, if your audience can sense, see, or feel that you have the same values, that you hold the values dear to your heart that they hold dear to theirs, you know what? You're not just a speaker. You've now become a speaker who is speaking for them. Today, I'm going to share with you the names of 3 people, 3 speakers who definitely the audience could sense, see, and feel. And these 3 speakers are just not a speaker, but they're speakers with something special. The first person I'm going to mention here is Ronald Reagan, the 40th president of the United States, who was president in the 1980s. Now, you may have people, that you can think of names where you think they have something special right now. Ronald Reagan is one of the ones that I chose. And in history books, he's basically dubbed as the great communicator, the great communicator. And Ronald Reagan often said, I'm not a great communicator, but what I have done is communicated great things, because he knew that if he spoke in terms of the principles of the country, the values that people had, that actually he could speak to them. Ronald Reagan had a way of using language and a way of making people feel so comfortable. He said his political success was attributed to 2 things. Number 1, he was honest. He says it's so important to be honest in what you're saying. Be honest in what you're saying. And the second thing is, he said, be in touch with your audience. And being in touch with your audience means think about the language that they're using. Use words that they understand. And when you're sharing information, communicate it in such a way that it can be understood, remembered, and people can take it with them. So the phrases, the nuances that they are familiar with. Ronald Reagan, by using the language that made people feel comfortable, by showing that he was honest, a value that all of us hold dear, being a person of integrity and honesty, by showing that and people sensing that, he was able to basically tap into his audience and fuel their passions and ignite their imaginations. An amazing communicator, had that something special. Another person who had something special was Walter Cronkite. Now, some of you may have to go onto YouTube or do some research, but Walter Cronkite, I grew up with Walter Cronkite, and he was the CBS evening news anchorman from, I think, the 1960s to the 1980s. And there was a man dubbed at one point the most trusted man in America. Now, he started his career as a journalist and ended up as an evening news anchor. But throughout his entire career, one of the things that was absolutely critical I mean, it was imperative for Walter Cronkite was that he be accurate. There were times when he would not report on a story until he had proven its accuracy, that it was authentic, that it was accurate. Then he would share it with the American public. He was meticulous in his research because he knew that what came out of his mouth when he was there as news anchorman, people would believe it. And it was important that people believe what he knew, integral to himself, what he knew to be true. So, and his closing phrase always at the end of every newscast was, and that's the way it is. That's the way it is. And it's amazing because when he uttered that phrase, people trusted him, and they trusted, it was accepted and trusted by him that whatever came out of his mouth was absolutely true. Because you could depend, you could rely on Walter Cronkite to give you the truth. So that's, again, amazing. That's a value, the value of honesty, of trust, of integrity, exemplified by the speaker, Walter Cronkite. And the third person I'm going to mention today, and that is Oprah. Now, Oprah's still with us. Walter Cronkite and Ronald Reagan aren't, but their ideals and the ideas that they've got still are. But Oprah is here, and Oprah actually became, what is it, a national, her show went national in the 1980s, 1986, and she has been a going concern ever since. Now, she is another one that when people listen to her, they sense and they feel something in her. And that is what has propelled her, into the position where she is today, the iconic woman that she is today. So Oprah says that great connection, begins, great communication begins with connection. And she really feels strongly that one of the things that we need to do is to listen more, look for common ground, look for what we have in common, what we share, and find out what makes us work together. She puts the focus on other people, and people can sense that. She listens to other people, and she looks for what are they interested in, and can I be interested in them? So it's through her listening and her asking questions, this curiosity that she has, that when people speak with her, they get the basic needs that we all have filled, the feeling of being wanted, the feeling of being listened to, the feeling of being accepted. These are core to our being in terms of how we function as human beings. And if we can get that from somebody, that sets them apart from all the other speakers. Well, you don't have to be Ronald Reagan. You don't have to be a Walter Cronkite, and you don't have to be an Oprah. In fact, I don't think anyone could ever be another Oprah. Oprah is Oprah. That to have that special something that they have that sets them apart. But what we can do, and what we need to do if we want to have that special something is to be clear in ourselves about our own value system. What are the values that we hold dear? What are the values that we hold dear that other people also value, that they hold dear unto themselves? And when we can tap into that, where people can sense, see, and feel that what we value is what they value, we're more than just a speaker. We've now become a speaker for them. Well, this is Dorothea Hendricks signing off. Until next time, wishing you mountains of success.